DJ Sonat. Let's go. Okay.
247 me a day, yo. You know strong, make you differ day, yo.
To create some kind of comfort our traveling so the terminal 2 will now be a multi-purpose for domestic and international. Thank you.
And the assurance is this year. That's what the minister said. Thank you very much. We look forward to it. In the spirit of reset.
Ghana Airport Company. You are discharged. Now let's call Ghana Maritime Authority. Could you please introduce yourself to the committee?
Chair, my name is Naval retired Kamaldeen Ali, and I'm the CEO the Ghana Maritime Authority, Director General in this context.
Madam Chair, my name is Anthony, acting head of Ghana Maritime Authority.
Madam Chair, my name is Peniel Martin, head of internal audit, Ghana Maritime Authority.
Madam Chair, my name is Isaac Communications Officer, Ghana Maritime Authority.
All right, Honorable Akwesukune, go through your financials with you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you very much, DG. Welcome. Minister and DG, welcome.
Thank you.
We will first be looking at your state financial performance. And we would want to be looking at the revenue and the expenditure pertaining to the year 2023. That's what we have. First and foremost, what constitutes your revenue item? Because there seems to have been about 68% increment between 2022 between 2023 and 2023. What are the components of your revenue?
Thank you, Chair. I will refer that to my Director of Finance.
Thank you, Chair. The major revenue item for Ghana Maritime Authority is one maritime safety charge. A maritime safety charge are charges that are leveled against to be paid by principals which are largely foreign-owned ships. The second one has to do with service charge that collaborate with Ghana Shippers Authority that we share 50-50 per the law. And the third one, we have seafarers trained and licensed to work on ships. So the licensing fee from this account for one of the major revenue lines. Thank you.
Okay, good. I asked this because the next line item. There is what we term as other income. In the year 2020, we had almost 72 million of that. But in 2023, there was nothing for other. What were the constitution of the other incomes in the previous year? In 2023 had nothing to account for.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The other income as reported in our financials are basically exchange rate valuation. So in 2022, the exchange rate was very high in terms of dollar to CD. And as I said earlier our maritime safety charges are stated in USD. The principles of this foreign vessels that comes are based outside. So per the law, the fees are in dollars. So if you translate you get the higher exchange rate. The 72 was an exchange gain in 2022. In 2023, we had an exchange loss. So it came as an expense.
How come you had an exchange loss? Is it that yes, a translation of the cedis or the dollars into cedis? So how come you had an exchange rate loss? Or is it that, if I may, so that you don't go far, that you by yourself peg the rate of the cedi to the dollar at the beginning of the year, such that whenever there is a gain or a loss in terms of the strength of the cedi, then that reflection comes in? Is that your contention?
I think you are right, Honorable Member. We use.
Is it that I am right or you think I'm right?
You are right, Honorable. The budget, usually it is based on the rate we use for budgeting versus the actuals that happens on the daily basis on the market. That account for the differences.
So that means in the year 2023, your estimation was that you still were going to have an increase or a depreciation of the cedi, and the cedi started gaining weight. Is that the contention?
Rightly so, Honorable.
Some of these agencies are the reason why some record exchange losses. Bank of Ghana shows a rate every day. Then you sit here and say that I have pegged the cedi to the dollar at a certain rate for 3 months, 4 months, even when things are swinging, things are changing. And then at the end of the year, you either record a loss or a gain. Is that the law? That Bank of Ghana shows a rate every day in as much as you want to plan and know you have an idea, a fair idea of the revenues that come in. Is that how we should behave with our currency?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I may need to explain myself further. At the end of December 2022, the Bank of Ghana has a closing rate. And in budgeting for 2023, we use the closing rate to translate your revenue into cedis. However, the clients are paying the daily rate as published by Bank of Ghana. For accounting purposes, you compare what was reported in your budget against what has actually been paid. It could be less, it could be more. Because if you translate it, so at the end of 2022, if the rate was 15, January 30th, the rate is, let's say, 12. It is the 12 that the client is paying. He's not paying the 15. But the 15 was what was used to do the budgeting. So when you translate that, it will give you either a loss or a gain. That's what we are saying. We are not charging them based on the rate that we use in the budgeting. But it is the rate that Bank of Ghana publishes on a daily basis that the customers pay.
The finance minister will have to intervene in this, because this is also part of the reason why our currency keeps, it's not as strong as we want it to be. And then this is why agencies who interact or do businesses with people who pay in foreign currency also report exchange losses or exchange gains. When it's a gain, it is fine, but when it's a loss, government loses money. And so I think we should look at this carefully and agree on a measure that will best serve the interest of our country, not just one agency, but the interest of our country. Because we cannot be doing this to ourselves every day. We come and then we see one agency recording an exchange loss of 2 billion, 3 billion Ghana cedis, all because of a translation. So we are calling on the Minister for Finance and the Bank of Ghana with agencies and ministers who manage some of these companies or agencies. Let's work together and see how best we can address this issue. It is high time we do that, because government upon government does a lot to sustain our currency against our major trading currencies. But then if an agency, and they deal in other currencies relative to our own currency, and they have a rate that they pick at the beginning of the year, and then at the end of the year, they translate it when there's a gain, when there's a loss, and then it hits your books. These are sometimes paper losses, not actual losses. So we should do something that really reflects what is on the ground. So, Minister, respectfully, I'll ask that you please help the government, you help the Minister for Finance, the Bank of Ghana, to see how best, as a country, we will address this issue. Because sometimes when you sit here and you see the exchange losses of 2 billion, 3 billion, you ask yourself, has this money truly been lost? No, it is just paper translation. And that goes a long way to even hit your accounts and hit your books and affects the financial statements that you give out at the end of the day. So it is something that I think we should all look at it dispassionately and see how best we can help our country when it comes to these things.
Thank you, Chairman. So am I to take it that your other expenses, as seen under your expenditure, is what you would also term as exchange rate losses?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. What are the components of your non-current assets? I am asking this on the backdrop of an increase in your impairment losses on your financial assets, because you are looking at from 8 million to 27 million. That is over 220% in terms of impairment losses.
Our non-current assets is made largely from 3 buildings that we are currently putting up in the head office that is just close to Parliament House. We have one at Tema and one at Takoradi. And as a maritime authority, we deal with ships and we do patrols within the maritime domain. So we have about 11 vessels in our fleet, which previously we were not having those kind of vessels in our fleet. So in those assets are the assets that account for the non-current asset.
When was the acquisition of these 11 vessels?
It started from 2017, 2019, 2022. I think 2022 we acquired one of the largest vessels for search and rescue purposes and oil spill response.
So that is accounting for the over 19 million difference in terms of impairment losses.
The impairment losses were the revaluations of our receivables, and 2, we had investment with some of the defunct financial companies that the auditors recommended that we should impair for it because the recovery of such investment seems to be remote.
But once you put them on your financial statement and you're making provisions for them and you're not taking them off, and you're also not going to have it, it obviously would reflect negatively on the financial statement. So why don't you go to the board for such investment losses just to be taken off from your books totally, because you aren't going to have it. You're continuously going to put it on your books.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have been able to recover one from CBG Bank, and the other one we will take your suggestion into consideration. Thank you.
Your finance cost increased over 200%. Is it that you are taking on more loans?
Yes, so these 3 buildings that I've mentioned were financed from a loan facility from syndicated local banks.
All right, Chairman, I think we are good to go. Their current ratio isn't bad. It has increased to 2.1 to 1, and that is good. I mean, Maritime Authority has a lot of money, so they should be able to contain some of these.
Okay, Ghana Maritime Authority, you are discharged. Now let's call Ghana Civil Aviation. you please introduce yourself to the committee?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. My name is Reverend Stephen Wilfred Arthur, the Acting Director General of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Theophilus Adonis Ayi-Ago, the Acting Deputy Director General Technical. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and the members of the committee. My name is William Afotu, the Acting Director of Finance, Ghana Civil Aviation.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. My name is Benjamin Kweku Eshen, the Director of General Services.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Gordon Kunkaundulbare, Director, Internal Audit.
All right, now let's go through your financials. Now your total income increased by 60%. What caused that?
Honorable Chair, with your kind permission, I would permit the Acting Director of Finance to handle this question. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the increase in revenue was as a result of increase in air traffic over the Accra Flight Information Region, as well as an increase in passenger numbers for the year 2023. That translated into the increase in revenue. Thank you.
Now your operating losses of 62 million in 2023. What was the cause of that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The losses here refer to the exchange losses, which are as a result of the revaluation of loans that are on our books. So we took a facility, a syndicated facility in USD in 2022. And so the exchange loss that resulted for the revaluation closing 2022 as against the bulk of the loan translated as at the end of 2023. So what we see there is the net exchange loss as a result of these translations.
But I'm sure when you were sitting down there, you had a lecture on exchange losses, the currency rate. You had it. Or do you want a repeat of that?
I heard.
You heard?
Yes,
Okay.
but if I may just explain briefly. I borrowed $40 million in 2022. So if at the end
But
of
yours is a loan.
Oh, okay. So
Yes,
okay.
yours is a loan. Okay, now cost of operation. It increased by 63 million Ghana cedis. Why?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the cost of operation, especially in the area of general and admin, the significant portion of it had to do with an increase in depreciation. Now, what happened was that we transferred our capital work in progress, which was on the ANS building in 2023 when we had completed it, was commissioned. So now we started charging depreciation on it. Yes, so the significant part of it had to do with the depreciation charge in respect of the headquarters building. And also on the impairment of receivables. Even though in terms of debt stock, the receivables had decreased, but if you translate your debts at the end of 2023, you realize that because of the exchange rate effect, the impairment was up. So that also did account for.
But you at the same time to have 33 million in finance costs.
The 33 million in finance costs deals specifically with a short-term portion of the loan repayable in 2024. So that short-term, the 33 million there refers, when we transfer the asset in 2023, we were running other projects. The loan that we took was a syndicated facility for two major projects. the headquarters building, and the ANS facility. Now, when we transfer the headquarters building as a fixed asset, the interest component, we could not take that again to capital work in progress because the asset was finished and transferred. So we had to capture that as the finance cost. And so that explains the finance cost in the 2023 as against no finance cost in 2022 because we had finished and transferred the asset in 2023.
Now, when you look at your general and administrative expenses, it increased by over 100 million Ghana cedis. What at all is in this general and administrative expenses?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I
Sir,
had explained
you see,
earlier.
I've ignored the Madam Chair references for a long time. The last time I checked, I was born male and I'm still a male. You keep on calling me Madam Chair, but yes.
Sorry.
Just say
yes.
honorable.
Yeah, honorable.
Yes.
Thank you, honorable.
I'm gender neutral.
Okay. So the general and admin, I had earlier on explained that the impairment and the depreciation are captured under general and admin. And that is what accounted for the movement in general and admin. When it comes to the real cost of operation, it just had to do with repairs and maintenance on some of our key equipment in 2023. That accounted for the slight increase in cost of operation. But for the general and admin, significantly had to do with the depreciation and the impairment of receivables.
Now, if you look at your current ratio, you went from 3.9 to 1 to 1.8 to 1.
Yes, thank you, Honorable. The current ratio actually declined. And declined because we had to book finance cost in 2023 as a result of the fact that we had taken a facility and that the interest component we could no longer capitalize because the project was completed and we had transferred. And so the decrease in the ratio was as a result of the finance cost that was booked in 2023.
I have quite a lot of questions to ask, but I will spare you that. Let's go to your management issues. And Madam Honorable Faustina Elekplim Akurugu will go for the management issue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This has to do with management issues. 10 bungalows have been abandoned. Can you tell us why? Just to rot.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think that development was duly taken note of, and we must report that we have taken steps by way of the evaluation panel being constituted, and as we speak, some of the bungalows have been awarded on contract, whilst others are waiting for the commitment authorization from the Ministry of Finance. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Can you be specific? Because we have 7 in Kumasi and then 3 in Tamale. Which ones are being awarded? So that we'll be able to trace to know that it's true. Whatever you are saying is true. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. 2 for Tamale and 2 for Kumasi.
Can the accountant general can auditor confirm for us?
Honorable Chair, the assertion is accurate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No further questions.
Now, how many of these bungalows have been completed? I have a different view about government bungalows, which I will not espouse right now. How many of them have been completed?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
why do we treat government bungalows like this? If it's a government bungalow, is it for top executive or for the ordinary worker at civil aviation? These bungalows.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The bungalows are for staff.
I know, for staff. What category of staff?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. We have not designated the bungalows either for general staff or for management staff.
But I'm sure if it was for management staff, these would have been completed.
Honorable Chair, we have taken good note of your concerns and we'll continue to do the needful.
Master, the general staff that works for all these big companies, when you see the accommodation, but if it's a big man that needs to have 13 air conditions in the house, that building will be completed in no time so that the big man will live comfortably. If you don't like those buildings, give them to me. I'll renovate them and rent them. Management, your response was the airport was closed during the COVID-19 period, resulting in a significant decrease in revenue of the authority. Therefore, budgetary constraints led to the inability and authority to locate funds for the repair and maintenance of the bungalows. Oh. So when do you envisage this renovation will be done?
For two of them that are in progress in terms of the documentation, hopefully by the first half of the year, and then the remaining will be done or completed before the end of the year.
Before the end of the year?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Auditors keep note of that, and then if they haven't done it, they will come back. Yes. Okay, so Ghana Civil Aviation, you are discharged. Now let's call Airport Clinic.
Honorable Chair, we are
Aviation Social Center is also under you, right?
Honorable Chair, no please. They are on their own, but I think they are part of the Ghana Airport Company Limited Group.
So let's call Airport Clinic, please. Is Aviation Social Center also here? They are also here, okay. Please introduce yourself to the committee.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm Dr. Kilian Wampong Konam, the Director of Health Services for the Airport Clinic. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Thomas Amia, Director of Finance, Airport Clinic.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Bright Dubonsi, Assistant Manager, Finance.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Alex Kisi, Administrator of the clinic.
Honorable Akwesi Kwenedu will go through the financials with you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Doc, welcome.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Just two quick ones. I mean, your financials look good. Your current ratio is also all right. And I mean, your figures, they almost hover around the same areas. You don't have any percentage increment in more than about 40 or so percent, with the exception of taxation. And those are those provisions, the taxation figures you have in it, because in 2022 you had 535,000, and in 2023 you had 303,000. Are those provisions that you raise in the account or the actual payment of taxes?
Thank you, Honorable. I'll defer to my Director of Finance. Thank you.
Yeah, Honorable Chair, there are actual provisions in the account.
There are provisions, but not payments.
There are provisions, yeah, in the account.
Oh, okay, because that makes sense because you had your comprehensive income reducing in the year. So that will be all right. What do you term as growth and sustainability?
Honorable Chair, I think there was a law or an act that 2.5% of your profit before tax should be paid as a growth and sustainability tax. And I think this was passed by this parliament. I think so, yeah. In 2023. So that is that. So in 2022 we didn't have, so it came in 2023.
But if you look at the figure is not a payment, because if you are supposed to pay, then the figure ought not to be in brackets as a provision, but it's in a bracket as a provision.
It's an expenditure item.
Yes, it's an expenditure, and if you put it under the expenditure, you probably don't have to still put it in parentheses. That means you are making them as a provision of non-payment yet. If you agree with me.
Honorable Chair, in the preparation of accounts, once you get your profit before tax, anything that comes, supposing we don't have that, then anything that will come will be the taxation, and that will be the in bracket. So when you take it off from your net profit before tax, then you get profit after tax. But this one is additional tax, so that's why it's in bracket. So it's an expenditure item. Thank you.
Your comprehensive income. The reduction is very huge, but there aren't any reflective expenditure increments that should have occasioned almost 1.3 million down to 296,000. If you look at the statements we have in front of us, there are no corresponding expenditure figures that ought to reduce that amount. Because in 2022, your total income was 27 million and 2023 was 26. Your expenditure was still the same, 25 million, 25 million. So to reduce in that excess, that is very huge. What is accounting for that?
So, Honorable Chair, I think if you are looking at, if you are taking them one by one, you will see that 2022, we have the total revenue of 27 million. And the 2023, we have 26 million. But when you come to the expenses, okay, if you want me to explain some difference here, in 2022, we had a COVID testing, and the revenue in the COVID testing in 2022 was about 10 million. In 2023, it was 650,000, and that is actually accounting for the decrease in the actual revenue here. And for that matter, the bottom line, that's the net profit.
Airport clinic.
Yes, please.
A bird just whispered to me that the clinic is going to be pulled down. Where is the new location going to be? Or if it is true?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. In fact, we are not aware of this. We are hearing it from you for the first time this morning that our clinic building will be pulled down. However, some land has been allocated for the putting up of an ultra-modern hospital. We are still, discussing the source of funding. But this is something that our parent company, which is the Ghana Airports Company, is looking at. And we're hoping that before long, we will have a more permanent facility. Thank you.
But you just said that you are hearing it for the first time. But another land has been located for you. And you'll be building an ultra-modern one over there. So the likelihood of this old clinic going down is already in your mind. And somebody is whispering to me Then you are saying that this is the first time you've heard about it. Hey.
Chair, the issue of our airport receiving expansion on daily basis affecting the output of the clinic. So government's intention is to have a bigger facility to be able to serve the airport. These are plans that we are taking. They are not yet at the implementation stage. So the doctor will not be part of the positions as at now. But the intention is that we will need a bigger facility to be able to serve our airport because it is growing on daily basis. So till a facility is provided, the current facility is what we are having as our airport clinic.
When do you think the new facility will start?
No any fixed date yet, but these are plans we are putting in place to ensure that we will expand to go along with the expansion of our airport in general.
So my bird, who whispered to me, was probably in your cabinet meeting or whatever it is. Okay. All right.
Minister, thank you very much. This is question. You know, you make mention that there is going to be expansion of the airport, and it's actually getting expansion projects every day. I would like to find out in the future, do you have any plans to actually, in terms of expansion, have hotel facilities within the airport? Because when you travel all over the world, there's hotel facilities close inside the airport. Do you have any plans such?
Thank you, Chair. We have some already projects going on at the airport that are intended to be used for hostel facilities. However, with the plan of building a bigger terminal for a car park, we are envisaging that the car park will have a hotel at its top to complement whatever new projects that we are getting in terms of hotel facilities. So there are private developers who are currently going through the processes of completing their facilities to be used for hotel facilities. But government, through the Airport Company Limited, is also having in mind of having a car park with some kind of hotel facilities included in it. Thank you.
Okay, Ghana Airport Airport Clinic, you are discharged. Now let's call Ghana Ports and Harbor Authority. Could you please introduce yourself to the committee?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I'm Major General Paul Seydou Tanyekulono, the Acting Director General, Ghana Ports and Harbors Authority. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, my name is Tebon Zuma, the Acting Director of Port for Tema.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Khalid Nuhu, Head of Finance, Ghana Ports and Harbors.
Good morning. My name is Kamla Ofori, Head of Engineering, GPHA.
Honorable Chair, my name is Gifty MFI Janku, Acting General Manager, Audit.
Thank you very much for coming. Honorable OPK will handle your financials.
Thank you very much. And looking at your financials, and it indicates a very strong and
revenue generating agency. From the position of your operational ability than more of a distress. And we see your continued ability to generate significant operational income, your capacity to meet recurrent expenditure, and there's no indication of insolvency or liquidity crisis in the audit narrative. However, the auditors recommend that you should be held to a higher compliance standard under Act 921, and so basically, I think that you are performing well. I don't see anything. Just that we expect higher demands from your end. And I want to commend the management for that, and also to commend the minister for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Ghana Ports and Harbors Authority, you are discharged. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, thank you very much. We are grateful.
Thank you very much. Now let's call Aviation Social Center, please. Please introduce yourself to the committee.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. My name is Abigail Sapo. I'm the General Manager for Aviation Social Center.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. My name is Dennis Agbonovi. I'm the accountant.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. My name is George Kwatsin Amani, Fitness and Sports Manager.
Honorable Frankie Eboa will go through your financials with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Aviation Social Center Limited. Let me start with your financial performance. And let me start with the good news first. I'm seeing some increase in your revenue from 919,000 to 1.5 million, representing about 64%. Have you created any new revenue line or what? What accounted for that?
Honorable Chair, I'll defer that one to my accountant to answer. Thank you.
Yes, please, Honorable Chair. We've created additional revenue lines. And these are principally advertisements. We entered into agreement with concessionaires. So they do adverts in front of the place. That place is the airport bypass. So you have a lot of space there to do adverts. So that's what is giving us additional revenue.
So you are attempting to say that the new line wasn't there in 2022, but it came in 2023. Is that the case?
It actually caught up in 2023 because we started the whole process around 2020 when we were looking for people to do the advertisement. But finally, it caught up in 2023.
Let's go to other income. 22% increase. What is the component of your other income?
Basically, it's the rental of a floor space, leasing of floor space for other people to come and operate in our environment.
Okay. The good thing is that you increase your revenue, yet the operating expenses also went down. What's the secret so the other companies can learn from you?
Well, the question again. I think I got distracted.
If you look at, I've already talked about the revenue increment. Yes. But if we go down to operating expenses, there's a reduction from 823,000 to 758. And I'm saying that it's a good thing that you've done. So share the secret with us so the other companies can learn from you.
Well, just our hands on operational costs. We just manage to make sure that we control unnecessary costs. That's all, basically.
Are you sure about that? Because I am tempted to think that you push some to the admin and general expenses. Because if we look at it, it moved from 844,000 to 1.787 million. So almost 1.8 million, 1.8 million, from 800 to 1.8 million. 1 million increase. And you are saying that you did that magic. That's why I intentionally praise you there. I knew I was going to get to here. So, what accounted for that? Well, I'm not sure. Government increased salaries by 120%.
Principally, what happened was that we had an exchange loss of almost 404,000 Ghana cedis because we're making payment for equipment we bought in 2019. And so we had to make that payment in 2023. And that time, the exchange rate escalated. So we suffered a lot for that.
I'm sure you've gotten enough lecture on the exchange rate, so I'm not going to waste time on that.
Yes, please.
So I'm seeing income tax expense. Can you throw more light on that?
Sir, this were actual payment made, Honorable.
To what is it? Is it because we are making losses? So why the taxes? I just want. Is it payee and the rest, or?
Yeah, these are withholding tax withheld by other people we paid. So it's a tax credit to us. So we acknowledge it.
In 2022, you made a loss of deficit of 288, and that has increased to 649,000, an increment of 124%. How are you correcting this?
I'll hand over to my boss.
Mr. Chair, if I can come in here, at the risk of repeating ourselves and not incurring the lecture, in 2023, when we're paying the debt of the equipment we had bought in dollar rated, of course, we made that huge loss due to the exchange rate list. But by 2024-2025, we have finished paying for the equipment. So going forward, we know that we will not be incurring this sort of huge losses because now we finished paying, thank God.
Which year was the machine acquired or procured?
Late 2019.
Madam.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Respectfully, we don't enjoy giving lectures, so we just talk about things that we are representatives of the people. And so things that they push us, they ask us to elicit from you. And then when we get those conversations going and there are any suggestions, we call that, we all sit together and see how best we can do it. So it is not, the way you said, you don't want us to give you lectures. So,
my apologies, madam.
It's for the love of the country. And that is why we do this, because I believe that everybody here maybe should have been working in his or her constituency, but we have been given a task to do. So we don't enjoy giving the lecture. We all work together to make our country a better place.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it in that way. I was making a jest.
Now that your apology has been accepted, can you go back to tell me when the machine was acquired, please?
Machine was acquired late 2019. We did some renovations in the gym. Just after we finished the renovation, and we're hoping to open in 2020, COVID hit. So we closed down for the greater part of the year, 2020, almost in 2021. So we couldn't make payments, unfortunately. The plan was that we paid for the machine in 2 years.
What's your current relationship with your creditors?
So currently we finished paying.
But this one, generally, what's your relationship with your creditors?
I would defer that to the accountant to answer, please.
Honorable, it's fine. It's a good relationship.
You are showing a current ratio of 0.3 to 1. That was the same thing in 2022, and it repeated in 2023. meaning that you find it difficult to meet your current liabilities. That's why I asked that question. And if you look at your current liabilities, it has increased by 39, almost 40%. So practically, I want to know your relation with your creditors and how you are managing them, whether you'll be able to pay them or not.
Yes, please. We are able to pay them as and when the liability is due.
I will advise that you improve on your current ratio so that you'll be able to pay you'll be able to meet your current liabilities as and when they fall due. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm done.
Civil, the aviation center, is that the one by the airport over here that I drive past all the time?
Yes, Honorable.
Hey, Honorable Edam Agbana has a question to ask.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, mine is a public interest question, and just to bring the minister's attention to the fact that looking at the audited accounts and their financial position is not encouraging at all. And I am finding it difficult to understand how an event center or such a facility located at a prime area, strategic area, will be performing poorly, abysmally financially, at a time that private event centers are making so much. I visited not too long ago. We may have to look at maintenance of the facilities and how well properly facilities are kept, and maybe through minister engage cabinet to ensure that state institutions that host all these end of year events and what have you, instead of patronizing the private event centers, and they pay so much, they should be able to use the Aviation Social Center as the event center so that you'll be able to regain some financial strength. That's all I have to say, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you very much.
I think you hit on management. Okay, civil aviation. Aviation Social Center, you are discharged.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Now let's go to PSC Tema Shipyard. Please introduce yourself to the committee.
My name is Alhaji Osman Suleiman, the CEO for Tema Shipyard.
My name is Peter Mensah, Deputy CEO.
My name is Fred Fenting, Head of Finance.
My name is Nuruddin Yusuf, Head of Cost and Billing.
Samuel Chea Asante, Legal.
Okay, we'll start with Honorable Duke Allen with paragraph 1175, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll start with your financial position, or financial performance, please. The company seems to have turned around over the last 2 years, and I commend you for that. Government is also very keenly interested in promoting that business. Your revenue dropped by 3.6%. However, other income went up by 127.2%. Can you let us know why?
Honorable Chair, with your permission, I would like to ask the Head of Finance to respond to the question, please.
So, Honorable Chair, so for the revenue that dropped by we have 4 revenue line items. In 2023, we were able to generate revenue for all these 4 line items. However, in 2024, revenue from engineering jobs and FOQ, there were no revenue generated from those line items, accounting for the decrease in revenue. However, the overall position for our major revenue generating income, which is ship repairs, between 2023 and 2024, there was an increment. When we come to other income, you rightly said there was 127% increment, which was right. And this was due to the fact that we had signed new contracts with some people. We leased some of our lands to them, the office shops, so that we can earn revenue over there. That accounted for the increase in the 127% increase.
Next question is cost of sales. At the drop of 58.3%, why is that? Is it that you were servicing the same clients? Because cost of sales is to bring in new clients. So can you explain why your cost of sales dropped?
So the main reason is we load our staff cost at the cost of sales level. And 2023, there was rationalization of the staff in the sense that we have offloaded the workers to subcontractors. So we pushed that staff cost to the subcontractors. Hence, we saved a lot of money over there. That's why there's a drastic reduction in the cost of sales.
Okay, so that helped with your bottom line because your profit was up 83.9%. So you are outsourcing your technical experts to companies. Financial position. Total assets also grew by 39.1%, and your current liabilities dropped by 37.3%. Can you explain, please?
For total assets, the main increment was due to increase in trade receivables and cash equivalents. In the case of the current assets, we paid a lot of our creditors, so payables were reduced, leading to the drastic reduction in that area.
Mr. Chairman, it's interesting to note that they've done very well, that their current ratio moved from 1.3 to 1 to 3.1 to 1, and you should be commended for that. One question I have. What steps did you take in 2024 that would help your bottom line in 2025? What major steps did you take? What initiatives did you take that will help in 2025 performance?
So generally, we were very cost conscious. Overall, we were very cost conscious. And as I already said earlier on, we have moved most of the staff to the contractors, the subcontractors. So labor costs has reduced drastically. And this, we hope it will increase the performance for 2025. In fact, we have performed well.
We read somewhere in the news that the government of Ghana was partnering Malaysia to build ships and do some fabrication. How far with that arrangement or partnering?
Well, it has not come formally to the attention of Shipyard itself, and the board is being constituted. Interested, strategic investors, when that becomes necessary, obviously expression of interest will be known to the general public, but it has not come. It's just at the preliminary stages.
Thank you, Chairman.
Honorable Akwesi Kwene, do have some few questions for you.
It's just a point of clarification. If you look on your statement of comprehensive income, you have 2 line items that I would want us to draw attention to. We have the income tax expenditure or expense. That is about 4 million. And in that same, just 2 lines below, you have deferred income tax provision and credit. Have you seen it, please? What is accounting for those 2 in the exact position like that?
Yeah. So for the deferred income tax, for the 2 years, tax taxes that were deferred for payments. However, for the 4.4 million that we have over there were the actual taxes we paid for 2024.
You know why I asked? Because if you look into 2023, you had deferred tax of 2.3 million in 2023.
Yes.
So you came actually to pay 4 million in 2024 and still had another 2.4 million or 2.1 million that you deferred.
Yeah, so 2022, when we go back 2022, we were in a loss position. So those losses were carried forward. That's why when you see the tax expense at 2023, it's a dash over there. So that is the explanation I can give to that.
But if you were in a loss position, you would not have any taxes there so that you defer it. And secondly, that would also have had a reflection in your current liabilities. And if you look at your current liabilities, they both stood still, 35 million, 35 million.
Yes.
There was no increment in that, in specific reference terms, so that at least that could also some way have justified. But if you were in a loss, you would not have to pay taxes.
Yes.
So there should not be any deferred taxes there. Or is it that you had losses also in 2022 that you were still carrying,
Yes,
or profit
please.
in
In fact,
2022?
previous 2-3 years back, we were making losses, so it were carried over losses.
Perfect. So it means if 2-3 years you are making losses, you cannot have taxes that you defer. Because if you are making losses, there will be no taxes. So if 2-3 years before 2020 you are making losses, there will be no taxes for you to defer and bring them into 2023 and end up again in 2024 when you made profit and paid 4 million and still had deferred taxes.
So please, I would relook at this and talk to the tax consultant on this.
Okay, all right. You have a relook at it.
Okay, the next infraction is from Honorable Cletus Depala.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, Dombo. I'm from Dombo's hometown. You do only 14% there. Honorable Chair. Yes. They have to come and do a lot there. Anyway, Chairman, this infraction has to do with some enforcement. Two of your customers defaulted. There was a court enforcement that you recover some money to the tune of $470,000 United States dollars. Can you explain what you've done so far in terms of recovering this amount?
Honorable Chair, with your permission, I will refer this to the legal officer, Mr. Asante, to respond to the committee.
We have filed processes in court to have the matter continued. For one of the first of it, we are going through with it. We are at the stage of hearing the matter, and virtually we will say we are in course to make sure that we enforce the debt.
You finish. Chairman, okay, you come in if you want to come. These two companies, do they still do business with you?
No.
The legal officer, do you have any idea about the Public Financial Management Act 216?
Yes, I do.
Section 91. How long have you been, dilly-dallying with these people for $470,000 US dollars?
So there was a form of a settlement agreement with the company, and they were looking up to it that they could make the payment in installments, but at a point it was defaulted. Then
Counsel, with all due respect, that wasn't my question. How long have you been playing around with these people?
So the case with the last of activities was in 2023. Then in 2024, the legal officer then commenced with the process to enforce it.
But why can't we enforce it? The court ruled in your favor, right?
There is no conclusion yet for one of them. But for one, there was a settlement agreement, and we are taking steps to enforce it.
The settlement agreement, for how much?
For about $240,000.
Why can't we enforce it?
So we've taken steps. An entry of judgment has been filed. We are taking steps to ensure that leave is granted by the court. Then we can attempt settlements. We can attempt enforcement on the companies.
Minister, on the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Section 91, it says collection and receipt of monies due public corporations. The board of directors of a public corporation governed by this act shall ensure the efficient management of financial resources of the public corporation, including collection and receipt of monies due to the public corporation. Number 2, where a public corporation willfully or negligently fails to ensure that monies due to the public corporation are collected or received, the minister shall, upon the recommendations of the Attorney General, Auditor General, withdraw or suspend the emoluments of the members of the governing body of the public corporation, either jointly or severally. I ben sika, so nobody is collecting it. When did you enter the settlement agreement?
It's to the best of my recollection, I think it was somewhere in 2023.
2023. And 2025, this amount wasn't collected.
So the arrangement was that money should be paid by installment because as at the time the service was done, the company could not pay shipyard. So in the course of time, they defaulted in the payment of the installment.
Do they have any sureties?
Yes.
Why don't you fall on the sureties?
That's why I said we are taking steps. We filed the
But
entry of
when?
judgment.
How long?
We've done it. We are in court now, sir.
How many of the installment payments did they make?
I don't have it off record, sir.
Hey. It's 470 Donald Trump dollars that these people owe 470,000 Donald Trump dollars. And these people owe you shipyard, and we are playing around with it. Okay.
Chairman, I will advise the minister and the management, Tema Shipyard, that we don't want to see this next year. We want to see effort being made to recover the money. You are not that company that has so much money. You need money for your own operations and development. So if your customers are owing you this amount of money, it's big. 470 United States dollars is not small money. 1,000. So you have to make effort to collect it. It will help the company to run. Thank you. But we don't want to see a repeat of it. We don't want the auditors to flag it again in the next audit report. We don't want to see it.
So I was quiet because we have to follow the legal proceedings. But the available information, the background checks that we have done, those vessels are scrapped. Those companies they don't exist any longer. So once you have mentioned the fact that this thing is going to have maybe probably next year, you don't want to see it, there is nothing that will come out of it.
But sir, do they have guarantors?
The guarantors, they have used vehicles, and those vehicles they don't exist.
And you are telling us that nothing could be done about it?
No.
Chair, what he
trying to put across is that we have checked those companies. The sureties they put are non-scrap. And that is why we have gone back to court to pursue them. So it is not that we are saying nothing will be done. No, he wanted to communicate, but we are back to court to be able to enforce that retrieval of the $470,000 US dollars, because all that they gave in surety are not anything we can get anything from it. So we are hopeful that we'll go through the legal processes and be able to enforce the retrieval.
One of them has a landed property valued over 300,000.
So this has a lot of dimensions because it's in court. Some of those indentures they give are fake. So the court want to go through the processes and ensure that the court will now give a judgment for us to be able to enforce.
Minister, we are looking at the name of the court being Tema High Court, and the defendant is MT Sweet Mary and two others, and you have the suit number as 181/2021. The item that was seized was a vessel. But when you go to the surety that the person provided, it was a title document covering landed properties with a price valued of not less than 300,000 US dollars or its equivalent in cedis. How can such a property be scrapped for you to go back to the court? It is just because instead of you following up with the entry of judgment and pursuing this property, because it says a title document, that cannot be a fake indenture. And how can this surety, the court accept this as a surety when it's a fake document? We can rewind and have something proper to tell us. But to say it's a fake document or otherwise a scrap document that was entered into surety by the court, please.
So if I may come in, Honorable Chair. The vehicles that were used as sureties were provided somewhere 2021. And we are looking at the number plate of those vehicles, 12XZ to this year, 2026. And we don't believe it to have the same value as it would have had in 2021. That's for one of the cases. For the other, I'm finding it difficult to give the full reasons why it might be difficult to fall on the land, because it might be an opportunity for the defendants to now arm themselves with that information, to use it as a challenge or a means of hindering our process in court. But it is not a titled document, though it is stated as so. It is a landed property, but not titled.
Auditors, in the report that we have, page 258, it says titled documents covering a landed property. But Liga, have you cited any of these documents?
I have. That is why I speak to it in that form.
And when you look at those documents, you say they are not titled documents to a land.
Honorable Chair, I want to plead with this committee, since we are in court on this issue, if you could allow us to not to go deep into it, so that we can use the legal processes to come to an end.
He says the documents were not titled documents, and that can be used by the defendants in these matters to hinder their processes. So I was only trying to confirm from the auditors, because they would obviously cite documentations before they do these reports. So if they would request to go back and come, no problem. But at least we also have to ascertain for ourselves what these reports carry to us.
Honorable Chair, we'll still stand by what we have in the report until they are able to prove otherwise.
Minister, you see, that is why we sit here. We want some of these confirmations, because you see, it is our duty and your duty. It is our duty and your duty. It's just that we just have to be following up on some of these things. at times even going for the leave of court to establish some of these things for enforcement and the rest, we find them as cumbersome and we just leave. Trying to do background agreement. Legal, please.
Please, I just want to give some, the expression of titled document, it's legal, and it means that the person has gone through the full process, has the documents registered, and has been issued with a certificate. But once the person has an indenture over it, and it's in his name, it's still a landed property with documents covering it. But you can't use that legal term to qualify it. That was just what I said on that one. And
were
once
these sureties?
the court, okay. Then we've been in court. Even in November, we were in court to follow up on it. And in February, we will be going to court to pursue the matter. So it's just that sometimes you can't have your own way in court to determine the days in which your matter will be heard as quickly as possible, but we are in court pursuing it.
Were these sureties provided to the courts?
This is a maritime matter, and it's treated differently, unlike other matters. And you could technically say it was provided to the court, but depending on the agreement that is given, it can be given to the other party, the plaintiff, to make sure that it's enforced, but the copy of it has to be kept by the court.
So the court would have to accept these sureties?
Yes, based on what the plaintiff is able to accept.
So the plaintiff would have to accept, regardless of.
So this is how it goes. The court would give, you would apply for it to be the vessel to be seized, and when it's seized, the other party comes in with some kind of surety for the vehicle to be released. Then the court will look at the conditions to be met for the vessel to be released. So if the person brings any form of property that the court justifies as adequate to guarantee the release, then it is done.
The next infraction will be handled by Honorable Frederick Yao Ahinkwa.
Thank you, Chairman. This infraction has to do with unpaid Senate penalty to a tune of 82,067 Ghana cedis. The auditors noted that the company owed Senate a total amount of 82,267 in respect of penalties on unpaid and delayed contributions as at 31st August 2024. Management said they had contacted Senate on the issue for reconciliation. Auditors recommended to management to take steps to reconcile with Senate and settle any amount determined as the penalty to prevent interest on the unpaid penalties. This is a response of management. The penalty date back to 2009. However, they have contacted Senate for reconciliation of this issue, and the report will be available for verification. My concern here, I think this report here is on boards and then the corporations. We've seen a lot of these things, and it's like it's becoming a rampant thing, a phenomenon. These issues borders on welfare matters. If somebody serves this nation and the person retires, I believe afterwards the person should earn something. And these stipends are what are accumulated and given to the person. So what may warrant that you deduct monies, and these monies are supposed to be given to Senate for Senate to invest and pay workers out of that, and then you deny them this. What is the problem? I want to know, because it's just recurring. We have had a lot. If you look at the report, unpaid
penalty, unpaid penalty. How do you want Senate to pay the workers? Comment on this and let's move on.
Honorable Chair, and the view that you hold, that is the view that everybody, every Ghanaian and every taxpayer holds. When this matter was brought to our attention, we settled that outstanding bill. And I just want to assure the House that these infractions will not be repeated.
The auditors, per your report, you stated that the penalty, I think, started in 31st August. They are also saying, management is also saying that it started back to 2009. So why the discrepancies?
Honorable Chair, what we can indicate here is that the entity met with Senate on this matter, and they did a review. The amount was revised down to 29,000, which they have fully settled it. So the matter is actually settled. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The next infraction is on paragraph 1197. And that is non-performing investment. You invested
Yes.
you invested 4.2 million Ghana cedis.
I think
It's part of your
yes, it's part of
Okay.
Yes. You invested 4.2 million Ghana cedis. And then as at 31st December 2024, this investment has reduced in value by 773,792. So this whole figure has reduced to 3,426,000 Ghana cedis. I believe when investment is done, at least investments are done for profit or an increase. Even if nothing is done at all, maybe the increase should be in a decreasing manner, but not to affect the entire or the principal investment. So something is bothering my mind. What is the cause? What has led to that sharp decrease? Because you have invested and you're supposed to yield some profit. And this is the reverse. What is the reason? We would like to know.
Honorable Chair, the information we gathered, it was as a result of the domestic exchange problem. You know, you had some financial crisis around. But I can confirm to you, as at even October, the value has appreciated to the value of about 5.2 million. And as at yesterday, yesterday when we checked, the value stands at 5.9 on amortized value, but with the market value of about 5.4. If we want to redeem it today, then we should be taking about 5.4 million. It is because it's performing, that is why we did not decide. We have left it out for a particular purpose.
So the money is still at the bank.
I want to repeat, yes, it's at the bank, it's with EcoBank Investment, Development Investment, and I can confirm that the value as at the 31st of December is an amortized value of 5.9, but the market value, if you want to redeem it today, it is valued at the cost of, at the value of 5.4 million, which is better than.
Auditors, can you confirm?
Honorable Chair, we would have to be updated with that information. When you look at the response was that they were going to withdraw the amount from the bank.
In fact, I can just present a copy
But
to
they
the
are giving,
auditors.
yeah, so once they have decided to maintain the amount in the bank and alluding to the fact that the value has gone up, then they would have to provide those documents for us to be able to verify.
Do you have the documents?
I have it on a soft copy. I don't have it. He didn't print it yesterday. Yeah, that is the yesterday's one.
Sir, you were cited by the auditors. And anything that the auditors have cited you on, should the situation change, it is your responsibility to inform the auditors before you come and sit in front of us. Was that information given to the auditors?
Yes, Honorable Chair, the information was given to the auditors. You know, we're supposed to have this last year. That was given, and the statement was up to the 31st of October. Now, we now have the current one, which yesterday they had sent it, and that one was not printed. That is what I said, the value has now increased. So it is is concrete. The evidence is there. We can print it out and give a copy.
Where we were. Yes, sir. Nancy.
Thank you very much, Chairman. CEO, if I may find out, you had an investment with a bank, and there's a duration. And as finance directors, you need to be checking on your investment. As finance directors, you need to be checking on your investment. And instead of your investment appreciating, there's a reduction. And the auditors have to come to your office to tell you that there's a reduction in your investment. And I think you have a lot of investments in other institutions. So are you checking them?
Yes. I think because the question you were asking me at that time, I wasn't there. And I have a responsibility to, as it is, to answer to the appointment of a public account committee. What we are saying is when the infraction happened, when the recommendations were made for us to redeem that particular investment, even at that time, I wasn't there. But the report that the reason why they did not redeem the investment, when they went in, it has started appreciating. And what accounted for the reduction was due to that is the impact of the domestic exchange program. They even went ahead. They went ahead to redeem that, and they could not even get the money. They could not. That is the information that I got. I don't know whether that was the information that I got. I follow up with my finance director. Mr. Frederick, can you?
CEO, let me ask you, sir. You said you were not there. The financial officer, was he there at the time of this investment?
The financial officer wasn't there. He wasn't the main person.
Who in the company was there when this investment was done?
None of us. None of them.
So everybody over there is new.
Chairman, when the audit report came in, we decided to revisit the issue by getting back to the bank. And after the accounts were printed out, we noticed that the investment was actually appreciating, not as it was. And so we had to go through all the processes to ensure that as at today, the value has appreciated to this level of 5.5 or 5.4 from 3 point something. And so because there were that kind of differences at the time of the audit, we have realized that it's a viable investment and we needed to continue. So so that we can be able to settle our future indebtedness. So these were the lapses in the Tema shipyard.
Minister, I understand what you are saying, but that investment, if it hadn't lost over 770,000 Ghana cedis, maybe it wouldn't be 5.2 million. It could be 8 million or 9 million. Finance officer.
Honorable, could you please come again? Please. Honorable, please, I didn't hear a question. Could you please repeat it?
You didn't hear my question.
Yes, please.
Because what I asked was, when you took over, how long ago have you been here?
1 year, barely 1 year.
Barely 1 year. Did you try to find out any of these infractions from the Auditor General?
Yes, we did. That's why we followed up and we updated on it.
You are what?
And we were updated about this situation.
Okay, the next infraction is from Honorable Edem Agbana, and it's on paragraph 1202.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, this infraction has to do with some irregular ground rent. According to the auditors, the lease agreement between Tema Shipyard Company and the Ghana Port and Harbors Authority, your landlord, indicate that you were expected to pay about 6,000 Ghana cedis yearly for 25 years. But GPHA raised an invoice indicating that you are in arrears of about $6.6 million. And in your response, you said because of financial challenges, they as your landlord held on with the payment. So payment was in abeyance. I want to find out from you if from the time this audit was conducted till now, you have been able to produce the documents indicating the changes in the rent agreement that you have with your landlords, the GPHA.
Okay, Honorable Chair, we have not been able to get any documentation of any review rent agreement since the other one had expired. They had not been, it was just a request letter from GPHA. Let me give some little background. I think the committee will appreciate that. You know, GPHA, where Tema Shipyard, PSC, the Malaysians were operating during the privatization area, that is around 1997 thereabout, and they held it until 2013 when Cabinet took a decision and decided to take Tema Shipyard back, and GPHA had to settle the indebtedness government owed to them. So, of course, if a private individual is operating under the judicial government and that is the land of what they call a GPHO, who pay ground rent, because the same time that GPHO was operational, that was the same period that Kwame Nkrumah built Tema Shipyard and allocated those people that were settled. In fact, this issue has been brought to the attention of the Honorable Minister, and we are at the conclusion stage. I can, with your permission, we have ceased payment based on the recommendations. We have not hence paid. We have what they call so the attention of the minister. He's here. He can highlight on that.
Okay. Honorable Chair, if the minister can update the committee on progress on the negotiation on this particular item.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Chair, like he narrated, this case has to do with a long-standing rent payment, ground rent payment to GPHA. The Malaysians were operating and they were paying. And now it is now government-to-government business. So we are taking an internal arrangement to see how we can have a common settlement, because Tama Shipyard is not of a financial strong standing to be able to take up these debts and settle them. So we are having conversation as to how we can bring a closure to the rent. However, the Tama Shipyard has ceased paying any of the rent. We are far advanced in concluding on this matter. I thank you.
Mr. Honorable Chair, my final point on this is that the report also indicates that in 2024, despite your financial challenges, you were able to pay $500,000. On what documentation was the payment made? Is it that anybody at all can write to you and tell you that you owe me this amount and you start making payment without any? Because if you tell us you don't have documentation to prove the review of the rent agreement that you have, and yet $500,000 was paid in 2024, I think beyond settling this issue between the two institutions, we need to understand what prompted that payment, who made the payment, what document informed the payment, and if possible, if there is any wrongdoing on the part of any individual, the person needs to be punished for it.
Honorable Chair, the head of entity at that particular time was seconded from GPHA, to Tema Shipyard. He was the former director for Kita Ports. So he had even an office at GPHA. So as to all what I cited was a letter demanding the ground rent. But as the auditors have reiterated, there was no any evidence of any review. So I will not be able to speak much about it. But all what I'm saying is that he was acting as a chief executive officer for Tema Shipyard. At the same time, he was a director of port, and that was under the direct supervision of GPHA.
Mr. Chairman, even though I said my final, if I can have a final bite on this, respectfully. Honorable Minister, the revelation from the Director General MD, Chief Executive Officer, I think that these are serious issues, because if a staff on secondment from GPHA is the one making the payment back to GPHA, there are also issues of conflict of interest. The same person was acting as Chief Executive Officer for the non-existent Keta Port. And then these are very serious issues that I think we need to get into the issues and get him to answer. But Chief Executive, did he leave a handing over note? And is there any explanation on this particular expenditure of $500,000 in your handing over notes?
In fact, he left a handing over note, but I cannot really remember. All what I saw is this audit report. I have not cited it, and I'm under oath. I can't say things that I've not seen. Maybe perhaps it's in there, but...
Honorable Chair, I leave the rest for your direction. Thank you.
CEO, Director General, and so when you were appearing before the Public Accounts Committee and you cited this infraction, how did you prepare for this?
Chair, like earlier on said, it was brought to our attention, and we are having a discussion. It was a payment for government entity to another government entity. And because it was cited or it was stated as indebtedness to Tema Shipyard for rental payments, we have to sit and negotiate or iron it out with the two sister institutions so that they can continue to work together. But we will say that we are far advanced at the areas that Temashipi had will be able to have the leverage of no more paying any ground rent and be able to do some work.
It's about the payment of the 500,000 US dollars. And he said he's not cited anything, he's not seen anything, there was nothing in the handing over note. And I'm saying that this infraction has been in the reports for the whole of 2025, for at least from June 2025 to date. And you were coming here. Whether you've been in the office for 2 months, 1 month, we've had people who had been in office for 3 months or less than that. They come and they
of a fault, and it is here. Thank God that we now have a framework accepted that this is the way to go, and they will not continue any longer.
Thank you very much. The whole country is watching. That's a good thing I like about it. The next infraction is on paragraph 1236, and Honorable Shirley Che will take care of that one.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. This is to do with dilapidated handrail on the gate of Dry Dock 1. A physical inspection of Dry Dock 1 revealed that the handrail on the gates of the dock were broken and rusted and poses a threat to the lives of the employees of the company. The auditors recommended that management repairs the broken and rusted handrail, as it can cause accidents and expose the company to legal liabilities. Your response to the auditors was that you are in discussions with third-party operators to do a comprehensive repair of the dock. Can you update the committee on how far you've gone with those discussions?
That has been fixed. That has been fixed.
Is there evidence to this effect?
Yes, please. Evidence of pictures of the current state has also been sent.
Have you provided the auditors with this? Auditors, can you please confirm?
Yes, Honorable Chair, we can confirm that the repair works have been carried out. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let me, PSC Tema Shipyard, you are discharged.
Thank you, Honorable
But
Chair.
there are some things we have requested from you. And we are giving you 2 weeks for you to finish this committee with this. And this is a committee with the powers of a high court. It's not something that you choose to do or not to do, like the PPA that you need to go. We are very serious. 2 weeks, you give us the reports. Thank you, you are discharged. Now let's call Volta Lake Transport Committee Limited. Have you been, Clerk, have they been administered the oath yet? Okay. Could you please introduce yourself to the committee, please?
My name is Angela Oforiwalo Ute, the acting MD for Volta Lake Transport Company.
Honorable Chair, I'm Godwin Oredu Yeboah, the HR and Services Manager.
I'm Richard Bedu, Finance Officer.
I'm Japan Bismarck, Acting Finance Manager.
All right, your financials will be on paragraph 1241. And Honorable Nana Osei will take care of that.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Minister, Volta Lake Authority,
Going through your financials, I've seen that there was, although you made a loss in 2023, 7.4 million. In 2024, you made the same loss, but I should say improvement in the loss. There was an improvement in the loss. How did this come? How were you able to achieve this? At least 1 million. 1 million improvement.
Chair, I defer the question to my colleague to answer.
So we had more liquid cargoes, that is full shipment from Akosombo to Bupe in the very year.
You said you had what? Please repeat the.
Full shipment from Akosombo to Bupe. So that's how come we increased our revenue and then reduced our losses. Thank you.
But you are in the business of transport. And when your fuel demand increases, it means that you have a lot more people patronizing your services. And so why must you run at a loss in this regard?
Honorable Chair, we are into transportation of goods and services, and we operate ferry stations, 5 ferry stations, and also push fuel from Akosombo to Bupe for Bost. And so as and when they have the need for fuel to be transported from the southern sector to the northern sector, they push the fuel to us and then we transport it. And so the more fuel they transport to us, they push to us to transport to the north, we are able to increase our revenue in terms of the charges or the tariffs we charge on the transportation.
Thank you very much. See you. So, are you saying that last year you were not doing this transportation of fuel to Bupe?
We do transportation of fuel to Bupe as and only when it is available to us to push. We do this for Bost, and so until they have the need for all the fuel need at the north, we will not push. And so we are at their mercy to push anytime they make it available to us.
You, for the benefit of Ghanaians, can you tell me what Volta Lake Transport Company Limited does for the good people of Ghana?
Volta Lake Transport Company is a subsidiary of VRA, and we operate 5 ferry stations. We have the ferries at Dambai. We have one ferry at Dambai that crosses vehicles and human beings across the lake, going to maybe Chindiri, Karachi, and the rest. Another ferry station at Karachi, another at Adosu, and another at EAG, and also in Akosombo. And so when you are crossing from Dambai and you have a ferry cross you and your vehicle, then you know that that is Volta Lake Company. Aside the passenger side or the ferry station activities, the next one is the long haul, we call it, where we have barges. We have 3 barges, and Bost owns 4 of their own barges. And so we fill our barges anytime fuel is available to be transported to the north, and fill the barges of Bost also, and push it with our push tag to Bupe. Then they pay us an amount for the service we render.
So But I want to understand, do you have an arrangement with BOST? Because you said that you are always at the mercy of BOST, as and when.
Yes.
But we also know that BOST is always in operations. Is it the case that BOST relies on other companies for the same services, or they only rely on your company for those services?
Okay, fuel goes to the north through the road and also on the lake. And because there is no clear-cut policy as to the percentage or the quantity of fuel that should go on the lake to the north, and we also don't have what it takes. We don't have enough badges to be able to do so, to push the fuel. BOST is unable to rely on us completely or to take the tankers off the roads to give us that service to provide, because we do not have enough badges. Assuming we had about 20 badges, we would have been able to fit into about 5% of what goes through the road to the north. I don't know if I've made myself clear. And so BOST is ever ready to work with us. Can you imagine? They rather have badges that we push for them. They have 4 and we have 3. And so it's a matter of getting what we need, the badges we need to be able to push the fuel so that our roads can be cleared of a lot of tankers. And it is also cheaper to use us because we charge reasonable fee or tariff on whatever we do. And so that is what we do.
So Minister, you realize that there's no sustainable business model for these operations, because it would have fetched them a lot of money. I mean, if BOST were to solely rely on them to be pushing fuel from one station to the other. I remember when you came to the committee last year, you indicated to the committee that you had plans of bringing in some badges. And even said that, I mean, there was a Korean Exim facility that is bringing in some ships or something, some new pantos. Yes, because, I mean, I know the sufferings that, we know the suffering that the company goes through. And if we are able to create a sustainable business model for them, and BOST relies on them, we know that they will be very strong, because when you look at their performance, though their revenues increased, their expenditure outweighs that of their revenue. So the company keeps running at a loss. And the bottom line is that they do not have a sustainable business model. And I think it's something that we need to correct.
Chairman, thank you so much, and that is true. We are embarking on a serious move to ensure that we rely on the coastal and inland water transportation. That is the surest way to be able to have long-lasting roads that after construction they'll be able to stay long for our use. And so there are a lot of talks going on. We are pursuing a Korean Eximbank facility that stalled at a point. But we have gotten ourselves to the table to now begin, and the debt restructuring things created a lot of troubles for us. But going forward, the ministry, and for that matter, government, our intention is to improve upon our coastal and inland water transport services, because we believe that that is the surest way that will serve the people and make more profit than using vehicles on our trunk roads. We are pursuing other options from the private sector, and she will attest that we've been having conversations, just that sometimes you have to cross all the T's and the dots before you can come out to announce any policy you want to implement. But I agree with you that the only way as a country that is endowed with the coast and inland water, the best way and the cheapest way to handle transportation is through the coastal and inland water transport, which we are pursuing seriously. Thank you.
Minister, you mentioned that you are pursuing a private means. as in private financing, for some support for.
Either a partnership with us by the provision of badges that will be used and then proceeds shared on our contributions, or in a private sector that will have the financial muscle to be able to also partner in providing vessels or a facility that they will offer us to be able to procure badges. Those are the areas we are looking at.
Yes, it's just an advice that I think that we should look inwards and see how best government can bring Volta Lake to a certain level before you even think of partnering with other people, because otherwise, when they come in and they do most of the finishing, they will end up giving you little for what, you're going to give to them. So I would ask that we look inward and see how best you can pursue the Korea Exim facility, and then as much as possible, government brings Volta Lake to a certain level with a different framework, different set of strategy, and let's see before you think of partnering with private sector. Otherwise, you end up getting not much from that partnership. But I know and I believe our former honorable member is a hard-working person, and together, if you should bring in the needed resources, and together with her team, I know that Volta Lake can see some vast improvements and also raise more revenue for the nation and expand and open up my vice chairman's constituency, and that will also benefit me positively because we are not too far from each other. So thank you.
Honorable, we appreciate this sitting with you, and let me say that we are looking at all options, all doors open. We are also looking at even repairing or revamping some of their old vessels to speed up their movement. The delays in transporting or pushing the crude is also one of the areas. But like you said, we are looking internally, but whilst looking internally, we still want to see how the private sector can also respond. Services to our people is very important. Even we need profit to be able to sustain, but we are also looking at the larger picture. If there will be a private sector that will partner us or will come in so that our people will be served better, why not? We will start with that and see how we can improve. Thank you.
I'm not. Okay, thank you. Oh, okay. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chairman. MD, looking at I've seen that there's an increment in operating expenses and your general administrative expenses. Although our company is not doing so well, but there's an increment. What accounted for that, please?
Our youngest vessel, it's about 15 years. The oldest is 55, which means that vessel is older than me sitting here. And so the operational cost is very, very high. We don't even, we are unable to find the parts at times. Most often you have to go and mend. I mean, it's been a hassle. All these vessels came from 1970 to 2016, where the vessel that was used as Senchi, the two vessels were given to us by the ministry. Even those vessels currently are all running on one engine, one genset. We really need help, as the minister said. So this is why our operational cost is very high. What a new ferry, maybe a new ferry could run with 20 liters. 50-year-old ferry is running an operation, instead of 20 liters, it's running with 60 liters. And so this is why we have a very high cost of operations.
Minister, I think as my vice chairman said, we should design a model for this company. And with the way she's speaking, I think they can do well if we design a proper business model for them, so that our roads will be safe. Moving from Accra to Kumasi, and when we get to the chairman's constituency, and you see the number of tankers on the road, we pray to God that nothing happens. But in case something happens, there will be a day, National Mourning Day. I think we shouldn't wait for that. We shouldn't wait for that.
See, Honorable, the reality is that it happens all the time. We see these tankers fall off the road. They engage in accidents, especially when you are going to Kumasi and you get to Nkoko in the evening. You see them packed along the lines at the road. It's worrying. Perhaps I now understand why Volta Lake might have placed last on your list, because they are poor. They don't have money, Minister. They don't have money. But the reality is that the other agencies that came under your ministry, and they are making huge profits. I feel that because they have money sitting in their accounts, and some of them, they don't have anything to do with it, and they retain their IGF. If you look at the PFMA Act, the Minister of Finance can come to Parliament, and Parliament can instruct that these big companies, some of them, they should buy the vessels for them, let them engage in business, and later they will pay. So I think that arrangement will help. Let's look at that.
Chairman, that's true. But just to say that the agencies you call big, they have a lot of commitments. So sometimes they are unable to fully cater for themselves and take care of other agencies. However, I've made them to write internally to some of the agencies to see if they can support in some of these things. But because we've not gotten any concrete answer, it's difficult to put it out here. But I must say that...
Minister, let me give you a classical example. Government has a flagship program, the 1 million coders program. At the point when funding became problematic for the 1 million coders program, I think Cabinet directed that NCA and GIFEC funds their operations. And I think that when we take it to that level, and the state now begins to appreciate the importance of having these fuel vessels move on the water bodies instead of our roads, I think they can do something. So please, let's think through, let's think big, and let's get something. Angie is very hardworking. She wants to work. She wants to be rallying around and bringing us fresh. But I don't see that happening.
Chair, I agree with you. But you see, we've also limited transportation, especially Volta Lake transport, to only government and government. And what we are seeing is that, no, let us open up a little for private participation. For instance, we have our airports. It's the private planes that are utilizing the place, and we make more money from them. It's just a matter of having an arrangement with the private vessel owners who will want to help us, and at a percentage we all agree, we'll be able to serve the people. The good is that we should remove heavy transport from our roads to our coastal and inland water bodies. That will be more cheaper for us. The only thing you need there is the craft. You will maintain the water. Once in a while you will dredge, but it is not going to be that kind of regular services like the roads. And also, when it comes to accident, the rates of damages or deaths or injury will be lower as compared to the roadside. So we agree perfectly with you. It's just that we want to open up the basket wide and be able to see how we can bring the private people who will help us to be able to serve our people through the coastal and the inland water transport. Even though you have said this,
No, I'm not going to have any peace again because
Ferry stations.
Yes, we have
Okay,
5.
you have 5 ferry stations, as you
Yes.
said, but you have only 1 ferry per station. Yeah. So, what do you intend doing to expand the operations, especially on the Volta Lake? What do you what ideas and what you are very hardworking, like everybody is saying. So, what strategy do you have in place to expand on the Volta Lake? Yeah. Thank you.
The minister said it all. We are in talks with private Ghanaians to support us. It is very expensive to build a ferry. You don't need less than 10 million USD to build one ferry that's in the capacity that we operate in. The badges we need, it's about $5 million for one, a dual badge, which means that it can carry a container and also carry fuel. And so you realize our area of operations is capital intensive, and it will be difficult to, like the chairperson said, to just leave it in the hands of only private individuals, because they will end up taking all the profit. That is why the minister thinks that it should be the state and private individuals. And so one ferry at a station, now we have a problem of when one breaks down, until we get the parts, we cannot work. And I want to take this opportunity to empathize with the people of Agodeke, who are from Plains, where they rely only on us. And for almost 9 weeks now, all the 2 engines on the vessel are down. The 2 engines are down. We can't get the parts. We need generators. We need 2 generators. We have only 1 on. Everything is just not working. But I want to say that there is hope. We will do everything within our means. The minister is working hard with us to make sure that in the next 1 month or 1.5 months, we will be able to resolve some of these issues. And so I agree that it's not easy. And if you want to grill me on this, you will grill me forever. And so pray with us, open the doors for us, so we can get funding to be able to do these things. And I want to also say that our mother company does well. Anytime we are in trouble, VRA, they support us to get those little parts. They have an allocation yearly for us, except that it goes and it doesn't really show because we have a lot of things to do.
Angie, you're only here trying to, water down on the issues. They don't do much. They don't. I sat on the board of the resettlement program. The money doesn't come. When it comes, it's inadequate. If they are doing well with their money that they have, like by now, you should not suffer. This is Parliament. We can't cover up on certain things. And so please, they should be doing more for you. They should be doing more for you.
So, Mr. Minister, as she complained, a ferry is broken down for all those weeks. So what is the immediate alternative? What is happening? What is the immediate alternative? There should be an alternative, because it's only one at a ferry station. When it breaks down, what is the immediate alternative for the ordinary people? Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We, like she said, we have intensified the search for those parts. For now, we are not able to lay hands on the correct parts that will get those barges moving. However, the local boats are supporting on daily basis and helping the commuters to move. But we have intensified the search for the canoes or the boats that they use. They are just supporting, doing some small works, not huge like what the ferry could have done. But we are very sure that now that we have opened so wide and look for the parts, we are very certain very soon we'll be able to acquire some to fix those vessels.
So, Minister, if the immediate alternative is the boats, do we also find a way of ensuring that the pilots on the boats, they are insured, they wear their jackets and all of that, or it's just an alternative? When anything happens, then we move to them. We don't even know the pilots, whether they are qualified or not.
Ghana Maritime Authority is doing a lot in educating our canoe users or boat users. We deployed or we employed some safety guards who are along the lake and giving some education. We are to have a comprehensive rollout of our actions that we want to implement with force added to it. We've been doing education. We are getting to a point we have to enforce that. We can now tell you that do not operate here any longer because you don't abide by our rules and regulations. So the Ghana Maritime Authority with their safety guards are doing some education alongside those crossing points.
So among the education, do we make sure that they are insured as well? What about insurance? With the boats, I'm now talking about the boats because it looks like that's the only alternative. Can we also add to the education we are giving so they all get insured so that when the ferry breaks down, they are a complete alternative?
It's part of the education and the enforcement we want to now bring in. But you see, we operate in a country that we are challenged at all levels. We are going to put a licensing regime that will now have all the insurance and all other safety measures embedded into which Ghana Maritime Authority is far advanced in preparing a draft for us to see how we can legislate to put some enforcement or some measures in dealing with the private boat or canoe owners as to what they should do. But like you said, it is very important to ensure that those boats are insured such that if there's any accident, there could be some kind of claims made to the victims.
Okay.
We are far advanced in getting a draft
Honorable
that
Edem.
we'll put before you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, respectfully, I think that this issue of the vessel between Agodeke and Kpando, which is affecting the people of Afram Plains, we are talking about it very nicely as though it's not a crisis. But I want to say that there's a crisis there. Many of my constituents are in those areas. They are farmers. For 9 weeks, many of them have harvested their products, even transportation, bringing them out to the market and all of that. It's a crisis. It is akin to, let's say, the road between Accra and Kumasi getting blocked, having a huge crack, and trucks are unable to access it. So it's a national security issue. It's an issue that I want to respectfully plead with the minister that let's get something done about this as soon as possible, because the people they are crying. It is only because the media is unable to have access to the people to even interview them. That is why the issue is not a major national issue for discussion. I want to plead with the minister that let's treat this particular issue as a national security issue and get that vessel back on the lake so that we can get this issue resolved, please. Thank you.
Chair, it's a concern that we already are aware of, and we know the dangers and the difficulties our passengers face on a daily basis. If we say that it is not a matter of concern to us, then maybe we have not looked at it critically. We have been receiving a lot of calls, but the nature of the vessel is so old to the point that it's difficult to be able to assess all the parts in time. Is one of the reasons. And like we said, we are opening up to see how we can get more new vessels that they will have ready parts that you can get to fix when there's a breakdown. However, we are in contact education, like I said, Ghana Maritime Authority is giving education to the local people who are using their boats or their canoes on daily basis. We know the danger at which this has brought our people to. They have a lot of difficulties on daily basis moving from one bank or one point to another. And we want to give the assurance that we have intensified the search for the parts. Even if we will improvise some of those things, that's what we are now looking at, and then try and see whether we can move those badges. We will do so. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, the next infraction is on paragraph 1251, and Honorable Gape would handle that.
Thank you, Chair. Before I even proceed with my question, the company name is Volta Lake Transport Company Limited. I think as a country, we are not taking this company seriously. Because I think this company would have, done a lot for us. Look at, even you are talking about bulk oil. What about food transportation? Cutting food by road is very expensive. And countries are using their water resources to help. Then now, we are not. So as a country, we need to reset Volta Lake Transport. Volta Lake Transport needs reset, seriously. Now, you claim you don't have money. I would like to ask your procurement officer, is he familiar with the section 21 of the Public Procurement Act at 2003 at 663? Are you aware of that? That section?
Yes, we are aware, and I'll defer to him.
Procurement officer, are you aware? You are aware?
Yes, sir, we are aware.
So why do you decide to break down procurement into, you split them, the same day, the same date, the same company? Why?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. In connection with the breaking down of the bulk, what happened was when we take the corporate budget that we drew, which translated to the annual procurement plan, the request, like my CEO said, we have stations all over, about 5 ferry stations. So the request for the Manila rope, the shackles, and then the wire rope came according to the various stations. So we had to also procure it as it came to the procurement department. And then, Honorable Chair, it may interest you to know that with the mooring rope and then the wire ropes, if the vessels are not well secured, it can just drift off. And there was an incident about some years ago, which we experienced. By the time we came back in the morning to work, we saw that one of our vessels, MV Yape Queen, was nowhere to be located. So the crew went round, as our operation team, they went round, and then they discovered that it was closer to the dam, that's Akosombo Dam. So we had to call rescue team from both VRA and then VLTC. Then they had to go and rescue the vessel from the dam. It was almost going to hit the dam, which would have been a national disaster to the entire country. So according to how the request came for the various stations that they are in dire need for the item, then the procurement team also went ahead to procure it. But when the auditors came, they raised the issue, which we've all seen the wisdom in it. So going forward, we've taken cognizance of that, and then we will ensure that we will be proactive enough that when items of similar nature come, we will put all together, and then we will use the right method of procurement. Thank you very much.
Procurement officer, the story you are telling us, you are under oath.
Yes.
And then it is clear that is a bulk you have split. The evidence is clear. There is no justification what you are doing. Even they have recommended for your those involved to be prosecuted. Because even looking at the amount involved is 525,120 Ghana cedis. And then when you look at the breaking of the bulk procurement, the date 16th, 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 the same day. And then the second section is talking about 19, 19, 19. Even layman looking at this, somebody will say you are even doing this, you are not even smart in doing this. And it's a fact. So it's a bulk procurement, you are broken into pieces and you are doing it. So accept it and then put measures in place rather than justifying it. Your justification will not be accepted here because we are dealing with evidence. The name of the game is evidence. And it is clear. You have been recommended for prosecution. You and I were not there. Chairman, we are in your hands.
Honorable Day, ask your question.
Before you come in, can I come in?
Yeah, come in.
Chairman, what we do at VLTC, we try to put body and soul together. And we acknowledge that the wrong thing or things were done. We will not repeat it anymore. And so this is my humble plea to the committee.
All right, Honorable Day. Yes, your question.
And also as a former friend of the committee.
Yes.
Thank you, Chairman. My question actually, it's before I ask my substantive question, I have a very huge interest in the operations of the Volta Lake Transport Company because I'm the MP for Kpando. And in your presentation, I did not hear, Honorable Chair, the ferry stations. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't hear Kpando being mentioned. Is it not one? If it's not, why? Yeah. Now, if Kpando is a ferry station, well, maybe you want to answer whether Kpando is a ferry station or not. Then I can proceed.
Okay, Honorable MP for Kpando constituency, Kpando station on our books is Agodeke Kpando. Agodeke Kpando. And so we set off in the morning from Agodeke and then we get to Kpando Toko. And so that is in your constituency. And Agodeke is also in another constituency.
So by the mention of Agodeke, by extension, Kpando.
By extension, it is Kpando Toko Agodeke.
All right. My question then is the construction of landing bays part of the arrangements you are making to solicit private sector participation in the operations of the ferries? Because without a proper or a workable landing beach, I cannot see how the operations of these ferries would be effective. You may want to expatiate on that.
Yes, it is part of it. It is not only in Kpando Toko. Almost aside Adosu, Wipe and Akusumbo, we have the need to construct landing sites at the rest of the ferry stations. It is an urgent need because as and when we do the local one by using excavators, laterites, and then it rains, it washes the laterite into the lake, and the lake gets silted. Aside that one, VRA is also complaining about the filth it pushes to the dam area, and so it is a necessity, and we are also working, as the minister said, on that.
Well, by that explanation, I would like to assure the minister, Madam Chair, that in fact, about 10 other MPs in the Volta region and OT are going to join the CEO in coming to knock at your doors, because operations of these ferries or vessels, it's so critical to the economies of our constituencies, and we will not relent until we find some workable solutions to this. So we're going to, respectfully, we're going to be knocking at your doors, and we'll join the CEO to be doing that. So that's some assurance for the Honorable Minister.
Minister,
okay.
he's being selective. He's being selective. 10 MPs from voter. I'm also part. I'm from Eastern region.
Well, OT and Eastern and Northern, in fact, the list is long. If
Yes.
you look at the number of constituencies and districts that border
But I think that the assurance from the minister has been very telling. So, Minister, just on the last infraction, and it has to do with
But Sina, I'm yet to finish my question.
Okay.
No, it's part of the substantive question that I wanted to. Can I proceed? Thank you very much. The auditor cited a very simple but very significant infraction, which has to do with encroachment on the company's landed property at Yeji. The conduct of a physical inspection of the company's landed property located at Yeji and noted that parts of the property had been encroached by residents. Madam Chair, if the witness can inform the committee on the status of this encroachment, whether it's been resolved, whether the encroached land has been taken back, if you can, throw some light on this. Thank you.
Thank you. When you go to paragraph 1263, the response there is clearly stated that that would have been catered for when the Korean Exim Bank loan was given, or comes to be, or comes on board. Because it is also heavily a financial issue, and because we also are unable to assess this loan, we are still having issues being able to fence around our properties. But the good thing is that for Akosombo, the phase 1 of that particular project has been completed, and the phase 2 will be started any moment from now, when our budget is approved by the board.
Madam Chair, specifically on this Kazim loan facility, what is the status? Because the last time...
The minister actually explained it while you were away.
That is approved now?
No.
But we are still working at it, because the last time I checked, I didn't hear what the minister said, respectfully. But the last time I checked, I thought they said there was no objection had been granted, and we were at the verge of securing the facility.
Honorable member.
Where are we?
Honorable member.
Respectfully.
The minister had a lengthy talk on it. I don't know whether you were in or not about the Korean Exim Bank. Yes. Maybe you weren't here when he spoke about it. Would you want him to
Chair,
repeat
if
it?
you can allow the minister to just, respectfully, if he can just throw light on what he said. Yeah. Not repeat, but just throw light specifically on where we are on the loan. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just to go a little bit back to his earlier questions, asking whether we're going to do some landed sites for the vessels or what. Yes, because if you don't do that and it rains at all times, you have to go and put laterite and then reshape it. Not only the landing sites that we are looking at, we have a comprehensive plan of having some small terminals to all those crossing points, because people will have to wait at the time for the vessels to arrive and they will board. And then it will also create some employment for people. People will go sell some few things there. So we have a comprehensive plan of terminals and then landing sites and then the vessels. With the Korea Exim Bank facility, it was affected by the debt restructuring program. And I said that we have reinitiated talks with them to see how we can get ourselves to table and see how we can go back to the terms and then, if possible, get the facility to roll out all these things that were part of the programs that the loan was intended for, or the facility was intended for. So with the improvement of the economy and the way we are finally, or we are almost settling all the debt arrangements, we'll be able to get the Koreans to sit with us to discuss the disbursements of the loan facility. Thank you.
Thank you. That'll be all.
So in the management response, you indicated that you were going to recruit an estate officer who will be engaged and pay frequent visits. Have you done that?
Yes, it's been done.
You have an estate
Yes, sir.
officer. Auditors, are you able to confirm whether or not they have recruited an estate officer?
Honorable Chair, we are yet to confirm that. We don't have any update on that.
Please, we'll forward the information to you. He came about a year ago.
Send the officer personally to auditors to see.
Head count or face count?
Is there any other institution that we haven't called that is out there? Okay, Madam, you and your group, you are discharged.
Chairman, we thank you for the opportunity and we are very grateful.
Since the minister is a friend of the committee, he will stay with us. Minister, you are discharged.
Chairman, let me also add my voice to my MD in thanking the committee for having this wonderful session with you. This will definitely add to the work we, the ministers, do on a daily basis with our agencies and asking them to stick strictly to the provisions of our laws governing their operations. And these interactions are very necessary, and for me, it will make my work even better. Anytime I'm with them, they'll be able to see why we should not come back here with any of these infractions any longer. And so I want to thank you and members, and then the Auditor General Department. We used to be on the employment committee with them. They are also doing good work. May you continue to do that. Nasha, I'm grateful.
But Minister, I also love I was in your constituency last week.
You didn't go on my terms. You went on your own, so you were welcome. And my house people told me you didn't come. You should have passed there.
Nasha, thank you. Thank you very much for attending up on us. So this brings us to the end of the report of the Auditor General on the public accounts of Ghana, public boards, corporations, and other statutory institutions for the period ended 31st December 2024. So when Parliament resumes, we can now send our reports to the floor of Parliament for recommendations to be adopted. So on this note, we bring our 2-day session to an end and thank profusely the Auditor General and the Audit Service for helping us, audit all these boards, corporations, and institutions for 2024, and also for all the auditees who attended upon us. We also want to thank the honorable members for their dedication and Ghanaians for following us and giving us positive feedback to make the Public Accounts Committee very relevant. And on this note, we also like to thank Parliament and the media for consistently making sure that whatever we do here does not stay in the room, but goes out for all and sundry to see. We are committed to helping us all ensure that our public financial management is top-notch, and then we go by the PFM Act consistently, and also support the executive and the judiciary to carry out their mandate in respect of managing our public finances. So thank you very much. Rankin, you have been very, very supportive, and I couldn't have asked for a better ranking. So thank you very much for all the hard work that you have put into it. We are very grateful to you. GTV, thank you so much. Joy, CT, and all the others, GH1, we are very, very grateful. And above all, our security agencies, the Ghana Immigration Service, the Police Service, the Ghana National Fire Service, as well as the ambulance community. We are very, very grateful to you for the immense support that you give to us behind the scenes. And let's all pray and wish our country well in this new year, 2026. Thank you very much.
Thank you.